You're watching UPFront with me, Blessed Sogah, on the JoyNews channel. Well, for tonight, the Attorney General, Dominic Ayine, is sparking an age-old controversy again on the banking sector crisis by dropping charges against former Finance Minister and also majority shareholder of Unibank, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. Well, in a new turn of events, the Minister of Justice has disclosed now through a release to the press that he will be prioritizing asset recovery with a 60% threshold for specific cases relating to persons who are being prosecuted in relation to the banking sector crisis, as opposed to the approach by the erstwhile administration of going full throttle on prosecutions. 60% is the threshold, but details of the negotiations remain unknown, raising questions as to why some are being let go while the rest, including the likes of Atoesian, continue to languish in jail. That's opening up once more the issue about the banking sector cleanup, with concerns over how much has been so much spent on this exercise of sanitizing the banking sector, when indeed the public purse is bleeding, raising a number of issues relating to data, finances, and also the law. Tonight, we're simplifying all of that to you as we get into the details by, first of all, giving you a sense of what's been happening ever since we heard of this case. And this latest argument being put forward by the Attorney General, what the implications will be for us, and what this whole 60% threshold will be in terms of its implication, both to asset recovery and the way forward. So how about breaking down the issues for you first before you hear from my experts and guests making the push for asset recovery tonight? I want to bring in data analyst, lead of the team here at JoyNews, Isaac Ofieje, who's with us in studio, just to get a sense of what we're dealing with. 60% is that controversial threshold being announced by the Attorney General, Dominic Ayine, as we see on the screens. But let's go back to time, or in time, I should say, and give our viewers a sense of where and why we're here in the first place.
This is important is that there are others who have actually been convicted as part of the banking sector cleanup that was done 2018-2019. And in fact, there is a new number that we are learning, and that is 60% threshold of recovery. Many have said that this is the first time they are actually hearing of this, especially if you compare this to what happened to Atoesian, who actually had to go to jail for 15 years because he could not pay the entire amount that, out of that, over 90 million Ghana cedis that, according to the charge sheet, he had actually embezzled. Now, tonight, we want to look at the entire banking sector cleanup. And then also the current person involved, which is Kwabena Duffuor, Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. Why? Because he was involved in this 5.7 billion Ghana cedis, I don't want to say scandal, but in terms of the banking sector cleanup. He was involved in that with 7 others.
And we need to be clear here that based on the report that we know of, some individuals, including Dr. Duffuor, had received loans, according to the claim by the Attorney General then. And that money initially was meant to resuscitate the bank.
Absolutely. And in fact, the figure we are looking at is that 5.7 billion Ghana cedis. We do not know what component went to Dr.
Duffuor himself, and how much of a beneficiary he was.
Exactly. And in fact, if he has to do that 60% threshold, how much is he supposed to pay, and why has he been actually let go in terms of... Let's look at some other numbers in terms of what we know about the banking sector cleanup. In fact, Blessed, what we've been doing is to track how far we've come in terms of the banking sector cleanup. And already we know that if you look at other data that we have, it shows you that an amount has been spent actually doing that banking sector cleanup. And in fact, if you go through the data that we have, over 30 billion Ghana cedis is what has been expended so far to do the banking sector cleanup. We'll be doing that analysis for you and showing you that data. And not forget that when this banking sector cleanup came, In 2021, there was what was introduced called the banking sector cleanup levy, where banking sector was actually paying this amount. How much has been paid so far? And in fact, if you are looking at the entire amount that is involved, where Dr. Dufour is also there, 5.7 billion, it means that 60% of that
will translate to 3.4 billion.
You're looking at all the 7 people who are actually involved. How much will be left with? If you go to the next slide, that's about a little over 2 billion Ghana cedis that we are talking about, 2.28 billion Ghana cedis. And let's go to the banking sector cleanup numbers. This is what we know so far from what the finance minister put in the 2025 budget. He said we've spent between 2017 and 2024 30.3 billion Ghana cedis to do the banking sector cleanup. And that is how far we have come in terms of the money we've paid. Just 2 years or a year ago, the figure we all knew was 25 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that figure has actually ballooned to 30.3 billion Ghana cedis. Let's break this down further in terms of who has been paid what. Looking at the banking, savings and loans companies, about 26.9 billion Ghana cedis has actually gone to these entities. And Blessed, just look at GAT and National Investment Bank and CBG alone have been paid some 3.3 billion Ghana cedis as part of the...
So the fact remains now that despite the initial allocation that the government had made, we've gone way beyond budget.
But way beyond that.
We're spending way over 30 billion just on a simple exercise of cleaning up what's supposed to be cleaning up the exercise. When indeed, there was a way out at the time where, of course, many experts were saying, just support the banks some more.
Absolutely. And many said that you could have used about 6 to 9 billion Ghana cedis to actually bring back those banks to life. Why must you use over 30 billion Ghana cedis to do a cleanup? What we know is that a lot of people lost their jobs. Why? Because there were 422 financial institutions that got their licenses actually revoked.
Yeah.
Why? Because if you break this down, you will see 9 of them were commercial banks, 23 of them, savings and loans, and the majority came from microfinances. 347
of them, yes.
Microcredit companies, 39, and then 1 remittance company. All of these guys, suffering as a result of the banking sector cleanup. I was talking to you about the levy that we impose on the banking sector as a result of this cleanup. So we've spent over 30 billion to clean up the space. The government is saying that the banking sector must pay a levy as a result of the cleanup. How much have we collected so far between 2021 and 2024? That's about 2.13 billion Ghana cedis. On average, it means we get about 137 million Ghana cedis from that banking sector levy that was introduced.
Yeah.
Now the question is, if that is that new threshold of 60% recovery, then what must happen to Atuasian if he's also willing to pay the amount of money?
Big question there. And if you're looking at this amount, then of course government should be at this point prioritizing asset recovery, as the Attorney General is pointing out, because you would need some cash back to save the public purse, because you spent so much.
Well, many have said that if you actually convict this person, how do you recover the money? Because that 30 billion Ghana cedis we are talking about is one of the reasons why we had to do the debt restructuring program.
Okay.
Because it was part of our books and it ballooned our debt to unsustainable level.
Isaac, stay with me. But this is just the start of the conversation. I want to bring in now a number of people joining this conversation, because ever since many have taken to social media asking that what then happens to Atuasian, knowing that the Attorney General has now dropped charges for the former Finance Minister, Dr. Kwabena Dufour. I want to bring in CEO of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, who's joining us tonight as well. Dr. John Appiah is a staunch supporter of Bring Back Atuasian, right? Probably that's how we should term this whole campaign. We'll speak to him shortly. But Joe Jackson, thank you for spending some time with us. Along the line, we'll get some legal perspectives as well. But tell me about your own initial take on this. A 60% threshold has been announced by the Attorney General, but this would be for specific cases. Should it be a broad stroke for all those who are fingered in this whole banking sector crisis?
First of all, I think it's an excellent idea. I've never been one to argue for jailing the people involved. for a very simple reason. The, what do you call it? The courts of Ghana serpentine in the way they go through things. A case like this could last another 10 years or more, and most probably not get to much of a good, any decent conclusion. For me, it's very simple. Let's collect the money.
The wheel of justice, they say, grinds slowly, isn't it?
Yes, but it's much easier to negotiate. What do you call it? Say to someone that, listen, we can't explain this amount of money. We think you should pay it back. Once you sign this and you pay it back, it's not an admission of guilt or anything, but you've paid it back and we let you go. Listen, that makes more sense. If you attempt to jail me, my village chiefs will come and stand for me. My pastor will come and stand for me. My church members will stand for me. My party might even go and burn down some building in my village. The foot soldiers will go and do something ridiculous. We're much better. Listen, 30 billion. If we can recover even 50% of that, it will make a huge change to the public purse, to the debt we owe. Collect the money. And I support this. Collect the money.
You're saying
And
that,
if-
in fact, your threshold appears to be even lower, 50%, you say. Some say that,
Listen,
then so many people might get away with a lot of public money.
Unfortunately, as we stand now, if we go the court route, they would start away anyway. And they'll pay nothing. Let's collect the money now. Now, as a finance person, let's assume that there's 15 billion to be collected. Each year, that money stays. That even if we use a simple rate of the cost of money at 10% per annum, 10% per annum, that means that the 30 billion is accumulating a cost of 3 billion per annum. Why don't you want to cut that cost? Why don't you want to reduce that cost? The cost of keeping that 30 billion outstanding is excessive. I want to collect the money. I want to. I'll give with you strongly that the public purse shouldn't be burdened. If there are people in jail who should be offered this deal, please offer the same deal and get them out. Does that being in jail does it recover the money? Being in jail, does it reduce the cost of what we are spending? Supply.
How do you respond to, those in civil society, anti-corruption agencies who are saying, don't set double standards on the fight against corruption?
I'll also say to you, let's be real about what we can get. Let's be real. Let's understand the way this country works. That each and every person is okay until it's their relative. It's okay until it is their church member. It's okay until it's their village member. It's okay until it's their public party member. Please, for me, the public purse has lost 30 billion. The effect of that, you know how much each and every Ghanaian is incurring in cost because of that 13 billion? Do you know how much it costs each year to finance that 30 billion? Please, let's be real. I would say to the government, take a haircut and recover the money.
On the issue about the banking sector itself, you're in the space. Some say that what had happened was a clear case of disregard for corporate governance, which all of these individuals being named in the scandal should pay for. Is that a good notion to hold, or there's more to this?
You know, there are multiple sides to this problem. One of the problems was under-regulation of the previous regimes at the central bank, right? One of the good sides is that regulation is doing much better now than it ever was in the bad old days. Everyone in the banking sector would agree that it's much more difficult to do the things the what I call the would-do things that were done in those days. So that's one check already. Some of the things that have been done, some of the old CEOs, directors have been asked to go finish their term and go out after 12 years. There's a lot more this banking supervision division is doing now. I actually believe, in fact, some of us are even afraid that we're getting to a position of over-regulation. But whatever it is, there are some lessons that have been learned. If we can recover the money, I don't think if we continue up on this path of regulation, it will be that easy for this to occur again.
Okay. We're also being joined in this conversation by former Member of Parliament Andy Appiah Kubi, who's a lawyer as well. Council, thank you for your time. So you've listened to the personality involved. This is the former finance minister, also holds shares in the Unibank at the center of this whole scandal. Now the Attorney General says he's dropping his case against a member of his party. Your government initiated all of this. Do you feel this is the best way out?
No, I'm not a finance person, but on matters of prosecution, the Attorney General dropping the prosecution and the consequential effect thereof, I want to comment on. Indeed, in the past, when we have prosecuted offenders and the law of course financial laws or whatever, it has always been that such accused persons, after prosecution and conviction, would have been sentenced to jail term. Well, me as a person, as a Kenyan citizen, I'm more interested in the recovery of the amount of money that ought to go to public first.
Oh, Council, you mean you're interested? You mean you're also interested in the money much more than the prosecution? But it was your government that started all of this. You were not in support at the time. Atoisian, for instance, is still in jail.
I personally don't like politicizing criminal trials. I don't like it. I mean, it is one person who would have done something that would qualify as criminal, or if I don't want to associate people who are criminal proceedings with political parties. Whoever is involved, the person is a Ghanaian citizen, even had infringement of the law or having caused financial loss to the state and facing prosecution. I want to believe that person is facing prosecution as an accused person in the political category. So whoever is standing trial and it comes to light that a person is doing some negotiation to refund a greater part of the money, I believe that is even better than convicting the person to prison term and the state taking care of him and we not getting anything back in return. So, well, the better option would have been total retrieval of the sums of money that is involved in the criminal trial.
I see.
Then we set a watershed and say from now on, if anybody comes to the law on such accusations and you are convicted, you will face the full rigors of the law and the full punishment. But the state can, at some point in time, negotiate and say, well, it is better to get a part of it back, and then let's find other sanctions, or let them be under bond, or let them go back to work and pay the rest of the money by installment. I think it is a better approach to solving the problem than between convicting and sentencing. So, as for the conviction and sentence, well, the ultimate part, if we can do something about it, giving a greater part of the money with the Attorney General on this.
Oh, okay. In a minute, in a minute, just
Don't push it through politics. Whoever would have committed the offense did it on his own, and the law says that criminal action is action in persona. So it depends.
Okay. Honorable Andy Apiakubi, we seem to be having a challenge with your line. Probably you want to rectify that for us while I wrap up with Joe Jackson, because he's got to go. Joe, your parting comments, then I let you off because you have some other engagements. Tell me about the way forward and what you think should be done immediately, on especially Atuesian.
Listen, I would offer Atuesian a similar deal to what is being offered to Dr. Dufour. If he can pay 60%, that's the threshold that's been set. I say, let offer him the same, make him the same offer you've given to Dr. Dufour. But more than that, let's collect the money. Let's cut the cost to the public purse. Let's collect the money. That 30 billion is too big. That financing that 30 billion is too large, even too large. And let's collect the money as soon and as quickly as possible. I say the government, it's perfectly okay to take a haircut, collect the money, and then let us move on.
Well, and we wait to see what the outcome will be. Joe Jackson, thank you for spending time with us. Of course, we'll have this conversation again, definitely, when you have a bit more time. But his point well made that Dr. John Appiah is also in studio with us. And you've just been hearing from all of these individuals who are beginning to side with you now, when, of course, at the time, it wasn't the case when you started this whole campaign doing a press launch and asking the government to pardon Atuesian. Today, he's trending in the news and both on social media, with many more asking that if there's a deal for the former finance minister, so there should be for Atuesian. Why are you so convinced about the case of Atuesian?
Well, I think I've been asked, it's a $64 million question, because I've been asked so many times, if I had a penny, I'd probably be a millionaire. People have asked me, why Atuesian? Why have you come out swinging so much? And I think it's because, for me, he represents every other business person. What could happen to every other business person? He represents what could happen to a journalist, to someone on the street.
Yeah, I don't control that much cash, do I?
No, but for me, what I'm hearing, and, you know, it's not even about numbers. Because sometimes you see 2.3 billion, 4 billion, you know. The fact of the matter is that people lost their jobs. A lot of people lost livelihoods, you know. There's a lot that happened that goes beyond numbers. But if we're just talking about numbers, then Atuesian, the charge sheet was 27.5 million Ghana cedis. When he went in, he had paid 43.75 million Ghana cedis. So if we're just going on numbers, he's paid much more than the amount he was actually charged for. And I'm not a lawyer like Honorable Apiakubi, or neither am I a banker like Joe Jackson. But one thing I'll agree with is that how do you expect to... It's a financial crime. When we are dealing with financial crimes, it's different from other types of crimes. With financial crimes, the objective is about the money.
Why should it be about the money all the time, though?
Well, you see, there's different categories of crimes. If there's a murder, it's different. It's in a silo of its own. If it's a financial crime or white-collar crime and it's around money, usually it's a financial loss to the state. And like Honorable Apiakubi and Joe Jackson are saying, if it's a loss to the state financially, then the primary objective is getting the money back, rather than keeping people in prison who can now not contribute to society. They can't work and pay back that money or pay back their taxes. Instead, the taxpayer is paying to keep them, feeding them, paying for electricity for them, paying for medical bills for them, and they're told that it actually has on their extended family.
How popular is this opinion that you're sharing with us now? Because many will ask you, so is the case for the one who went in for just some coins, right? And is behind bars for 8-10 years. The courts do not say, well, because he's stealing little money, we let him go.
You see, Blessed, a very good proverb I heard a few days ago was that in the absence of electricity, a dead bulb is inconsequential. When there's electricity, you now see that the bulb is dead. Justice is for everyone. Whether it's for 1 cedi or 1 million on 1 billion, I believe in the same process. Complete same process. What I've just been championing, as well as many other people in Ghana here, and as many insults as we've had on social media, we've had a lot of support saying that there should be a pardon for someone like Ato Essien. Not because he's different. He's ordinary like everyone else. People say, oh, why Ato Essien? Ato Essien is a rich man. In prison, no one is a rich man. In prison, everyone is the same. That's why everyone sleeps on a bank bed. Everyone sleeps at the same time. There is no preferential treatment. So I don't believe in there being one treatment for one person or another treatment for another person. If anything, this case opens up what we need to do in terms of justice. That justice should be for all. No one is above or beneath the law. What works for Ato Essien must work for other people.
Okay. What I want to do is to draw our attention to, the statement by the Attorney General, a portion of it saying that this is by no means saying that either Dr. Kwabena Dufo or the 7 others have committed or otherwise this crime. That's stated clearly in the statement to suggest that he's not necessarily judging the case. He's just interested in the money and national interest, the statement says. Lawyer Andy Epiakubi, for you, what should be, and unfortunately we've just lost him. Let's try and raising back on that issue about the national interest conversation. But it goes saying for you, John, the point about what should be in a nation's or national interest. That's the statement from the Attorney General saying that that's what he's basing his decision on. But some say that Ato Essien's case, for instance, should be personal. It's his business, isn't it? How does it connect to the state in any way? No,
because Ato Essien's case had to do with he ran a bank or he is a shareholder in a bank. And that bank is regulated by an entity which is a government entity or government parastatal. So in some way, it does have to do with the state because the liquidity support that went to Capital Bank, the loan was from the state. So it's not a personal issue anymore. And if you read the charge sheet, that was clearly mentioned there. But like I've said, if it's just about numbers, Blessed, and we're just talking about numbers today, then Ato Essien should be pardoned because he's paid way above the amount that he was actually found guilty of.
Why is he not paying everything?
What is everything, Blessed?
What he's supposed to pay the state in its entirety. He couldn't pay that out.
Yes, but you see, 27.5 million on the charge sheet, 27.5 million Ghana cedis was the amount that the state had lost. That was so I'm saying that if that is the amount that we're going by, 62.5 million Ghana cedis was interest. 300%, a whopping 300% interest of 62.5 million cedis was interest. By the time Ato Essien went in, he had paid 27.5 million, which was the amount on the charge sheet that he was guilty of, plus an extra 16 million out of interest. So if we're going on the charge sheet alone, because all these numbers we're seeing is numbers not based on interest. It's numbers based on this is the amount that the state wants to recover.
Okay. Let me try one more time. Lawyer Andy Epiakubi is also with us, and I'll come back to you, John, because there are a number of questions on the Ato Essien issue. A lot of people want to understand that. And also the portion about his health as we speak. We understand he's not in the best of health. But Lawyer Andy Epiakubi, you're just making the point there about not politicizing this whole banking sector crisis and the prosecutions thereof. You're saying that you're siding with the Attorney General on this?
Yes, I'm siding with the Attorney General because the intention is to retrieve as much as possible what the state has lost. So if the state agrees with the accused person of payment of 60% and 60% is recovered, I think it's better than convicting the accused person into prison and at the end of the day, the state not getting anything. But I'm suggesting that going forward, it cannot be the order of the day that anybody goes to steal money for the state and he is made to pay 60%. But we could say that the government is giving an amnesty now, and it must be time bound. That within this time and such a time, if you are indebted to the state and you are able to pay 60% of it, we will drop the criminal charges against you, and then we will abort the prosecution. And after that, we'll go back to the old regime that we will take, the trial will continue until we come to an end of it. And we can also vary the sentence and say that anybody that is convicted of any crime, financial crime, would be made to pay the money anyhow and suffer some punishment as well going forward. That is beyond the amnesty. But for now, in the mess that we find ourselves, we could negotiate and say that so between now and say June of 2026, anybody who is facing criminal trial in respect of financial crime, if you are able to pay 60% thereof, then we will drop criminal charges. So that may encourage a lot of them to pay for the state to be able to.
Yeah, the point is we're just speaking to we're just speaking.
Including also prices. Then we will have a fair system.
Okay, we were just speaking.
Publish and people know that you have a differentiation and you
Honourable Member, I was just going to refer you to what the Manchester South MP has been telling us all day. Earlier this morning, he was indicating that the Attorney General had poorly negotiated the amounts for Dr. Kwabena Duffuor to pay. And it brings up the issue as to what goes into the negotiation and how much can we even recover in the first place. Do you feel that there should be more sunshine, more transparency in that regard?
So, I don't think that we should personalize the negotiation. We could bring an amnesty, total amnesty, to all offenders and say that all those who have taken money out of the state coffers and you are facing criminal charges, if you are prepared to pay 60% of such amount, we will drop criminal charges against you. It must be fair to everybody. It must be open, it must be transparent, and we must have a regime that is available to every one of the suspects. So that it will not be the case of one person, and I don't want to mention anybody's name. It should not be a case of one person, but it should be a policy direction that the government of Ghana, in the midst of the financial crimes committed against the state, we are prepared to drop criminal charges for all offenders.
I see. I mean, tell me, why should executives of these banks be a special case?
Oh, there comes a time in the life of any prosecution that the law even allows for negotiation, particularly in respect of criminal financial crimes. So it will not be out of place for the government to bring this amnesty and to encourage such accused persons from refunding part of the monies they are charged for. So it's not out of place.
All right.
And it is better, like I said, it is better to retrieve a greater part of those monies than to convict people and send them to jail.
Lawyer Andy Apiakubi, thank you for spending time with us here on UPFront.
But
You wanted to make a point?
narrative of one person having been given that dispensation, it should not be one person. It should be a general amnesty.
Okay. I get the point. So you want that extended to everybody, and Dr. John Appiah, I believe that would extend to as you're saying. There are many who do not understand his story. Clearly, from what you're telling us now, you believe that he's even paid more than the amount on the charge sheet. But how about the series of corporate governance breaches, which the reports, several of them based on which the AG went to court, had prosecuted Atuesian? Was he culpable of all these breaches then?
The evidence I have has to do with the court documents that I was presented with. Because, like I've said in other interviews, my real interest in this case is because I sit on the board of the Human Rights Office, the Commonwealth Human Rights Office. And this was the first time I've actually been brought this evidence. And I've said it many times that the case to which Atuesian was charged with, that is the only one that I'm dealing with. Whether he crossed a red traffic light at Kokolomemle before he got to his bank 2 years ago, I don't know. Based on the facts that I have seen, that I have before me, there were a lot of inconsistencies. But I have told myself that that job is actually for the lawyers. So for me being here today and for the fight for Atuesian going forward, it's just for mercy for Atuesian. And like Honorable is saying, amnesty, because would you rather have 60%? Wherever there's a loss, there's a gain. So if there's been a financial loss, why shouldn't there be a financial gain? That 60% that is retrieved, can that 60% do a lot of good? Even when it comes to pardons come with conditions. Atuesian's pardon can be like, okay, the president is pardoning Atuesian based on these conditions. If he's out, isn't he able to even pay the entire 100% if there's 100% to pay? What is the point? There's deterrence. When the deterrence has worked and it stopped other people from making mistakes, and Atuesian himself will probably tell you that he's not a saint. None of us are. We've all made many mistakes in corporate governance that we're learning from. But if the person has paid back the full amount they were charged for, what is the point of keeping them? Is it really justice being served?
But on record, he's not paid off whatever is due him. We agree.
So on record, it was 90 million Ghana cedis that he was meant to pay, of which he paid 43 million Ghana cedis. But 27.5 million cedis is what I'm referring to that was on the charge sheet, of which he had paid it all, plus 16 million in terms of interest. But Blessed, I'm even going beyond numbers because I'm saying when we are talking about numbers, sometimes we lose the humanity behind it. We lose the fact that it's not only Atuesian who is in prison, who's suffering from ill health. There's a lot of other people who are suffering from ill health. And I'm not saying his case should be the only one looked at, but that was the evidence that I have before me. But this is someone who, and if you look around the world, even like with Mandela and other people who were released on health grounds, he is suffering. What is the point of keeping someone so ill who needs access to good treatment in prison? What type of justice is that?
We'll talk about his health condition shortly. What have you done ever since the press release? There was supposed to be a petition sent to the office of the president. Have you heard or received any form of response from the office of the president?
So the petition will be submitted this Friday because together with KSM on change.org, there was a free Atuesian petition. Initially, we were all working differently, everyone having petitions signed, but we realized that it's better to have one voice to consolidate all our efforts in one place. And so by Friday, we're going to close that petition. And Blessed, I haven't seen your name on there actually yet.
It's because I'm still listening to you.
You're still listening.
And I want to be convinced.
You want to be convinced.
That indeed you have a case. And so just one more thing. And you should convince me now, isn't it?
Yes.
If there's any other reason aside monetary terms or whatever it is, for the president to consider as that point for which Ato Essien should be left off the hook? What should that be?
Blessed, I came here today to seek for mercy for Ato Essien. The president has that prerogative to give a pardon, to give a mercy to Ato Essien. Whether I talk about numbers, he had this, he did this, he took this, I think it's inconsequential when it comes to suffering, humanity, and what real justice means. Ato Essien is in very bad shape. He travels to the hospital on a daily basis. There's a lot of health problems we can't discuss here, but the facts are there. The doctors have written it, and we will be presenting that with the petition to the president. He's in a bad shape, extremely bad shape. You know, so instead of talking about numbers, and you see people get lost in numbers, 60% back, 70%. How much is a human life worth? How much is a human life worth? You know, we're talking about someone who's suffering due to ill health. How much is that worth? Can you put a percentage on it? So I think sometimes we lose that fact. All I'm here for talking today is about mercy. That Ato Essien, I believe, should be shown mercy.
You made a controversial point that justice was denied Ato Essien.
I believe it was, but Ato Essien took the plea bargain. Whatever reasons were behind that, I'll leave to his lawyers to explore. But I lose arguments at home all the time, so I've realized I'm not a lawyer. You know, so I've left that part to the lawyers to handle. But my main message prior to this petition going to the president is on mercy. It's on a presidential pardon, and it's on mercy. Knowing full well that Ato Essien out can repay every money that he's supposed to repay.
Has he told you that he's still got money to pay?
We haven't had that discussion about him having more money.
So there's no conviction then that he'll be able to pay then if he's released?
Of course. If he's in prison, how is he going to pay? At least if he's out.
He could call the lawyers to pay at least.
At least if
pay
he's
something,
out.
pay something.
No,
then
at least if he's out, it's 50-50. But you see, that takes me back to the point of Ato Essien being an ordinary citizen. A lot of the time when people are angry, and I see on social media, they are saying, why Ato Essien? He's a rich man.
Precisely. People walk up to you, I believe, just to ask you, why Ato Essien when there are thousands and thousands of people out there?
It starts with someone. If it takes one person to open up a can of worms, or it takes one person for us all, I've never come out and swung the way I'm swinging for Ato Essien. And people have wondered, what is your vested interest? Ato Essien is not my family member. He was not my friend before he went in. I'd never had any business transactions to do with Ato Essien. So I have no vested interest. My interest is in the evidence I saw and believing that, okay, you know what? Over the years, I've actually missed this. Over the years, I've never visited anyone in Nsewon prison. Ato Essien was the first person I visited in Nsewon prison. So our lives...
that was terrible, I believe.
Terrible. Our lives have been detached from that part of the world. You know, but there's people there who are suffering, are going through things. If Ato Essien is the one who has made us shine a light on what is happening, on being able to find that equilibrium between justice and humanity and financial loss and financial gain, then it is a good thing. It is not a bad thing.
Are you aware that President John Dramani Mahama is a politician first of all, and that whatever decision will be made on Ato Essien will have a political cost, not just to the president, at least he has nothing at stake in terms of his political career, but for the governing party, the NDC?
Well, you know, before he was a politician, he was a human being. And that is what we're appealing to. And everyone around him are also humans. Everyone has a father, has a brother, has an uncle, has a grandson that Ato Essien represents. You know, so for me, like Honorable Apia Kubi spoke about, I don't like to politicize stuff. Initially, when I came and I was talking, people were saying, you're meddling in politics. I'm not a politician, neither am I a lawyer, neither am I a banker. I'm just coming from a human rights point of view and speaking about humanity. I believe the president's decision will be based on humanity. It's humans that vote for the president and humans that will vote for the next president. And so that is where I'm coming from a point of humanity.
The Constitution says that justice emanates from the people. If we weigh Ato Essie's case in the eye of the public now, would you be winning?
I believe we're being heard. Like I said, one thing I try to stay away from, when I don't have the facts, I don't want to speak.
Right.
I don't like dealing only in numbers. Numbers are quantitative. Sometimes the feelings people attach to things, the qualitative, is equally as important. So even when you say winning, it's about our definition of what winning is. Coming into this game, it was not about winning. It was about being heard, about people actually opening up their hearts and recognizing that Ato is a human being just like we are. And we've all made different mistakes. All of us. No one, the person who's without sin should cast the first stone. We've all made different mistakes at different points in time. So the deterrent is there. Me as a business person, what has happened to Ato and having gone to Nsewam, you can't tell me it's not had a profound effect on me. It's had a profound effect on me. So this is not about winning or about losing or about one political party being right or wrong. No, this is about going back to what justice really means. We are Ghanaians. We're not born as a political party. We are Ghanaians first. We're all Ghanaians first. Our blood is the same red blood. Our blood is not party colors blood. Our blood is the same as one another. So for me, if you define winning, winning is you having me on your show. Winning is people actually having a chance to listen to me before they insult me, or listening to KSM before they insult him. That for me is winning. That is a step in the right direction, because it means the person has opened up their heart to be able to say that, let me look at it from a different prism. That for me is winning.
Looking at President Mahama from afar, you feel you stand a chance?
He's a good man. But the heart of a king is in God's hands. So we're praying that
So
God
you're praying
touches.
about it seriously?
We're praying that God touches.
Look at the individuals on board with you, KSM for instance. I mean, how much more persons do you have on board?
We have a lot of people on board. A lot of people who, and we have a lot of people on board. And you see, for me, that is what has gingered me. It's not a one person's fight. For instance, I'm talking about change.org. You go change.org, right. You go to search, you go to Ato Essien. It's KSM who began the petition. I didn't begin the petition. There's no sense of ownership to one person. It's about everyone being part of trying to free Ato Essien, because we believe that this means something to us. It means something to justice, means something to humanity. So there's a lot of people you don't hear about. There's a lot of people you see on Facebook who've written posts about this, and it's the support has been immense. It started off with a lot of insults, but now the support has been immense, and people are opening up their hearts.
People have threatened you, for instance?
Yes, I had a few of that before, yes.
And you're willing to go to that extent for this?
Blessed, have you seen me appear on any show to talk about anything beyond finance before? No. Every time I've been on here, I'm talking about my work with the Enterprise Investment Council, talking about private sector business, talking about fintechs, technology. I've had to take a stand because I honestly believe in this. And I honestly believe that we will all learn something from what is happening.
Do you want more people to be a part of this action? Because you have, obviously, by the end of the week, you're submitting your claims to the president. How much more persons do you want on board? Are you open to more people joining this?
Oh, we're open to as many people. And we want people to actually tell more people about what is happening. I've had emails and text messages from people as far back as Canada, in British Columbia, in Yellowknife, places where the sun shines only 2 or 3 hours a day, saying, I didn't realize this was what was going on with the Ato Essien case, So we've had a lot of support. But like they say, we want as many people as possible to galvanize young people, galvanize older people, galvanize people from all walks of life to actually support the campaign. So on change.org, they can find the petition and sign the petition. Ato can be your father, can be your brother, can be your cousin. It doesn't have to happen to you before you jump on. And I was on KSM's show, and he referenced a film called A Few Good Men. And he was talking about being on the wall. You need people on the wall who will speak for you in times of difficulty. And a lot of times, those of us on the wall might be insulted, but when bad times come, you need us on the wall.
Here's the thing. If Ato Essian makes it out of prison, there are thousands of people whose jobs may not come back. He may not be able to pay everything. So it's a lose-lose for the state, isn't it?
It's a win-win. And that's why when you're talking of financial loss, Honorable Apia Kubi and Joe Jackson are talking about financial gain. Even if 60% is retrieved, what can that 60% do? That 40% that people are talking about, what is the cost of that 40%? You know, we have to create more jobs. We have to create more employment, and it will happen regardless. But of what benefit is it to keep people? I'm not talking of only Ato Essian.
Right.
What benefit is it to keep people in prison who can be contributing back to the state and paying the state? Like I was saying, the presidential pardon even comes with conditions. It comes with conditions that you might be given a presidential pardon by the president, but it will be on particular terms that work to repay this money, work to rebuild trust, work to re-employ people. You know, because what we don't realize is that the road to hell can be built with a lot of good intentions. A lot of the business people we are vilifying now, before they were messiahs, they had created thousands of jobs. They were employing thousands of people. When they made a lot of money, they could have said, I'm taking the money, I'm going abroad to live just with my family. They reinvested it back and they employed more people. So a lot of people can promote more job creation. And
okay. Here's what I want us to do. I rarely do this, but I'm giving you just 30 seconds. So many people perhaps watching us at the seat of government right now. If you had a message to the president, what would you want to say? Probably you could say that to the cameras.
My message is simple. I think when I began 10 days ago, I would have talked of numbers and other quantitative things. Because usually they say the proof is in the pudding. But what we are asking for is mercy for Ato Essian. We are asking for a presidential pardon, which hinges on mercy. Ato Essian, out of prison, can contribute to society, can pay back any monies that are owed, and recreate jobs. I honestly believe that. He's an innovator. He can recreate jobs. Okay. And that is what I'm asking.
We'll see what the president would do about this. Dr. John Apia, thank you. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll have this conversation again, probably if Ato is out of prison. We'll wait to see what the outcome will be. That's all time will allow us here on UPFront. I am Blessed Sogah. We'll see you again. Until then, log on to myjoyonline.com. Many stories there for you to catch up on. We'll see you. Bye-bye.